Welcome to The Ripple, where extraordinary women executives share their turning points, growing pains, breakthroughs, and triumphs to help you show up with confidence. I'm your host, Ashley Lobbs, and today we're joined by the fearless Ikram Guerd. She's the VP of Global Marketing for the innovative femtech brand Aspivix. She's also a member of the board of directors for Inspiring Girls USA, which breaks down gender stereotypes and provides role models for young girls. Today, she joins us to talk about how one shift in her mindset propelled her to become a stronger advocate, role model, and leader. Ikram, thank you so much for joining us. It is such a pleasure to chat with you. We've been following your journey through Wednesday Women. I know we featured you a while back, and it's great to have you again so we can tell your story in a new way.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. And thank you also to Wednesday Women. This community has been just supportive and very exciting to be part of it.
I agree. It's so wonderful to have a community full of women leaders who are encouraging each other and being really vulnerable about, even the toughest parts of it. I think that we need that. Like, as you become a leader, so often you are the only woman in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need the support of women who might not be in the room with you, but have been in that room.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm looking at within this community. I'm glad that now we have also podcasts where women can also share their experience, and that can inspire and help others. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. I think it's so great also for young women who are on their path to leadership. I know there was nothing like this when I was coming up in my career, and it would have been such a game changer. I mean, I think about how hard it was to get meetings with people who I didn't necessarily know, but they had my dream job, and I was trying to reach out to them. It was so difficult to do that. It felt so terrifying. And here on the podcast, you just get to hear from VP after CMO after founder, and what an education.
Exactly, 100% agree. And I wish I had that when I was young too. That's also why I'm doing mentoring from time to time to really help other women, especially starting their career or being very young in the leadership journey, to get them exposed to what a leader position looks like. So, and then really support them. So 100% agree with what you just said.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about the work that you're doing and why you love it. Why are you so passionate about this work?
I'm very passionate about everything I do. I'm in charge of the global marketing and also running the business for the company called Aspivix, which is a company in femtech. So we are tackling women's health issues. And in our case, it's mostly focused in gynecology. There's so many bias, there's so many challenges and so many issues women are facing just to be able to have a good care. So raising awareness and creating the opportunities, building the.
That's such an important thing because it's only very recently that women have been represented in a lot of medical studies and trials. It's kind of amazing to learn just how recent it is for not just women participants to be included, but women's cells or blood or just like anything about a woman, even for women's studies.
Exactly. When you think about it, women have been included into clinical trials only 30 years ago. So it's very recent when you think about it. So anything that is on the market that has been developed prior to those 30 years has been just used and tested on. So then you can really understand that there's a huge gap in terms of data, in terms of research around women's health. I was talking earlier to someone. We were talking about heart disease, which is the first killer for women. And when you take a look at what is available in the market in terms of medication drugs, they have been tested. And biologically, men and women are different. So something that is working on men could probably not work on women or could even have side effects and be, instead of trying to treat, create even more problems.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about. And as somebody who's also in the marketing world, I used to work for a genetic startup years ago. And I think that really showed me how important marketing is. It's really such a pathway for educating people, helping them navigate different spaces, digital, physical, helping them learn how to communicate and know their options. That's such a powerful place to be in an industry that's still learning how to serve women.
Yes. Yes, you said it perfectly. And that's also why I'm passionate about my work. And it's a perfect timing because like we have been raising awareness towards IUD insertion and the pain that is generated with antiquated instrument. When you take a look at how IUD is placed, then you can better understand how you generate unnecessary pain. So basically they are using something called a tenaculum, which looks like a pair of scissors, and they grasp your cervix to align the uterus. Then they can insert the IUD. So that's just one step, but that key step is the one that is creating most pain. And then you take a look at what is happening on social media. And I'm so happy and so proud to see so many women sharing their stories. Women's health has been for so long stigmatized. Women have been dismissed. You complain about pain. Most of the time, they don't care because as a woman, we are just supposed to suffer. So this is not fair. Like, how can we get to really listen to women's voices and do something? There's something wrong. When you take a look at the instrument they're using, it has been developed 135 years ago during the US Civil War to extract bullets from soldiers. Like, okay, the story is just crazy. Who thought in the first place that it will be a great idea to use it on women's cervixes, which is one of our most, I would say, sensitive body parts, with no anesthesia. And it's like, it's just torturous. When you think about it, like, I'm pretty sure that a lot of women don't even know how IUD is in its place. So when you understand that, it's like, okay, now I can have a more meaningful conversation with my provider. And it's all about education, as you were saying. So marketing is amazing in terms of raising awareness. And that's what we have been doing for quite some time now, raising that awareness so women can really understand how it's done and have a conversation with their provider. If they feel like their provider is not caring about them, they can go to a different place. It's all about feeling empowered. At the end of the day, it's your health, it's your body. So if you don't know what is happening to you just go out there and try to learn a little bit more about yourself. I'm still learning a lot about myself as a woman. Like, we are all going through periods. At some point, we will all go through menopause, and there's so much we don't know. So I'm very happy to see more women voicing, and also celebrities. I used to watch Jennifer Aniston and all those women, and now they are like getting into menopause phase, and they're sharing their stories. So it's really about, we can talk about that more openly. Why should we be ashamed? And then we can also have a conversation with our partners, because we need men ally who can also understand, because it's not a women issue. Women's health impacts everybody. So
Absolutely.
this is something where marketing can also help by raising awareness. And I'm very excited and very happy to see an article in the New York Times and Washington Post where finally women's voice and all the work that we have been doing to raise awareness is being heard. So now the CDC and US health officials are urging physicians to better manage pain for IUD. So that's a very good first step. And this is due to all this. So just one step, but it's going towards the right direction.
Yeah, one step at a time, we'll take it.
Exactly.
I've heard so many stories from women about this, which, influenced my own choices that, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be in so much pain. I don't want to experience this risk of pain. There's so many different stages of that process, the before, during, and after, where pain really isn't managed for women or not very well. And I think it's a real skill. Something you were saying was so interesting to me about just making sure that you exercise your right to go see somebody else. If you're
Exactly.
talking to somebody and you feel like they're gaslighting you about your pain, or you feel like they're not willing to do anything about your pain, it's so hard to stand in your confidence that you deserve comfort
Yes.
and your pain is real, and make the decision that I'm going to get care elsewhere. It's so hard to fire your doctor and move on to someone else.
But you can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that is such a powerful reminder that we all deserve comfort. But I do want to come back to being a woman in this industry, because it is an industry that's dominated by men. It is an industry that's dominated by an understanding of the male body also. What was that like for you? Was it challenging to get to the place where you are now as a VP?
Yes, in some way. So I've spent 20 years in healthcare. So initially I wanted to be a doctor. I wasn't able to go to med school, but I find another way, and that was through marketing. I love marketing. I love the healthcare space. And I was lucky enough, and I created my own chances and opportunity to work in that space. So I worked in pharma, home care, medical device, clinical diagnosis. And every time it's really about surrounding yourself with people who will be helping you, mentoring you, listen to you, and help you grow. I have seen also the industry changing. I've moved also from France to the US, so it's also two different countries. It has been interesting to experience the leadership in both countries. At the end of the day, I had as many male allies than women allies who helped me get to that position. Sometimes it only take one person to really believe in you and help you grow and get to those leadership position. It's a lot of personal work as well. And sometimes it takes one person to not believe in you and add more obstacles to the journey. So I faced all of that. I'm very happy and very glad to be where I am right now, because that's exactly where I wanted to be. I love my job, and I'm so grateful to have met people who have helped me along the way, men and women. And it's a combination of all of that, getting the right mentors, getting the right manager, getting people who really believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. And it's all the hard work that is also paying. So, and one thing that I learned a little bit later is also about visibility. I think as a woman, we are not taught how to speak about our successes and how to it's not about bragging at all. In France, you don't talk about your success. Here in the US, it's kind of different. People will embrace and will talk more proudly of things that they have achieved. And it will be a source of inspiration for others. I really like that. So how I can, with my background, with my personality, help others to see you can do it too. I did it. It hasn't been easy, but I'm in this place because of all this work. And I'm exactly like you 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and you can do it too. So I think it's really important to be able to, even if it's uncomfortable in some cases, but to be able to share those stories.
Well, and you mentioned there was a mantra that kind of helped you get through that discomfort and get you to where you are. What was that?
I love travel all around the world and be able to learn from others in terms of culture, in terms of mindset, because that helps me to put things in different perspectives. And it was 10 years ago, I went to South Africa, and I was 3 friends, and we were driving and we stopped to take a break. And then suddenly I look around me and like, oh, there's a bungee jumping bridge. And that's one of the highest bridge in the world. I have it in my bucket list. And I wasn't planning to do bungee jumping at that time. I just felt it was a sign. I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. Then you have your heart saying something and you have your head saying something else. So there's a conflict internally. And I was like, probably spend 20 minutes debating with myself. Should I do it? Yes, no, yeah. Crazy if something happened. Then you go into this like a crazy conversation with yourself. And then there's one guy who just came by. He has this t-shirt that says, fear lasts seconds, but regrets last forever. And that sentence just changed everything. It became my motto. I'm like, you know what? He's so right. And after that, my brain just disconnected. I was like, I'll do it. And I did it. And I was the first one to jump. But that stuck with me. Every time I have to deal with a decision, I always remind myself, I have it in front of me, and I always go back to it. Is that something I will regret if I don't do it? And I had a couple of regrets in the past, but since then, even it's very uncomfortable, and I try to get always outside of my comfort zone because that's how we grow. It's not pleasant sometimes, but at the end of the day, when you manage to get to your goal and you reflect back, like, that's crazy, I did it. I don't have any regrets. I've learned so much, and that's all that matters. So this sentence became my motto and totally changed my life. I moved to a different country, very uncomfortable, learning from scratch, like basic things, but I don't have any regret.
That's such a powerful mantra. And I think the bungee jumping is such a perfect metaphor, even though you really did it. It really is a metaphor for overcoming that fear. Because, like you were saying, so often in that moment, there's your head and your heart, and they're fighting with each other, and your mind is racing, and your heart is pounding, and you're not sure what you're going to do. And there's a certain way that you have to make the jump, right?
Yes,
Just the decision internally to go for it is the jump, even
ex-
before you do the thing.
mhm. Exactly, exactly. And I can relate. I always think about that experience when I moved from large corporation to a startup world. It just feels the same way. Like it's a total different universe,
Yeah.
ecosystem. You have to learn everything from scratch. There's so many things to do. It's not for everybody, but I love it because you really get to learn so much. It's super scary. It's like when you're launching, like you're an entrepreneur, feels like it's a huge bungee jump. But at the end of the day, it's just amazing. So I think you just need to give it a try. Get a little bit of scare or adrenaline. So take it more on the positive side and then go for it. Then you don't have any regret. At least if it's successful, great. If it's not, at least you tried and you learned something out of it.
So what advice would you give to people who, maybe their head's racing and their heart is pounding and they're considering a jump in their lives? What do you think they should do? How should they handle that moment? How can they get over the fear?
I would just say if you feel strongly about it, just do it. Just do it. Don't ask yourself too many questions because that's what will slow you down. I think especially
Mm.
women, you just tend to think and overthink it. And we try to anticipate all the different scenarios. Even if you're trying to prepare as much as you can, there's always something that you didn't think about. So I think we should just probably ask ourselves less questions and go for it. Like I'm not saying do bungee jumping right away. Well, if you want to do it, do it. But I'm just saying you have to make a decision that you think is the right one. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me, what are you looking forward to next?
I hope if I can inspire others, and especially that's why I'm also involved in nonprofit organization. One is inspiring girls. Those are things that are deep to my heart. How can we inspire the new generation, the young generation of young girls starting from the age of 8 and being able to show them women who have been successful in different fields, in different industry as leader. So that's really something I'm really excited about and looking forward to do even more and to have more young girls being inspired with women leader and be the next generation. And hopefully in the future, we don't have to talk more about gender equality and all of that. All of that will be granted. So that's what I'm looking forward.
Well, it's really wonderful that you're doing work to help that happen in the healthcare industry so that women can be more represented and cared for better. And, when you talk about impact, that's so powerful to know that there are real individual people whose lives have been improved just by what you've done. And that has to feel so good. And I know that just by talking to you about this today, these are things that I've spent a lot of time worrying about and being in fear about and anticipating pain that hasn't even happened. And hearing about this, even just personally, I think is such a relief and so exciting and makes me really hopeful for the future of women's healthcare. I think it's such a powerful thing. Like every single example that we have, every little step forward we can take to care for women and appreciate how they're different, like understand how we're different and appreciate how we're different is so important. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us, not only about the work that you're doing, but about your life, your mission, and your mantra to step out of the fear, because I think so many of us deal with that in every aspect of our lives. In order to have the future that we want, we need to step out of it.
I agree so much.
Yeah.
I'm so excited and thank you for this opportunity. I'm always excited when I get to share a little bit of the work that we are doing. So the future is bright for women. We just need to keep that in mind and things will evolve. So we'll have to ask ourselves in the future for the next generation how to tackle. It's hard work. So that's a collective work that we all have to do, but things will get
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and thank you so much for being part of our community so that we can keep that going and keep taking those steps forward together and making things better for the next generation.
Love it. Thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you to Wednesday Women.
Before we end the episode, we want to take a moment to reflect with you, our brave listeners, about what Ikram's story means to you. Where has your fear been holding you back? And what might you regret 10 years from now? If today's show inspired you, tell us. Send an email or voice memo to hello@wednesdaywomen.org. Or keep the ripple going by giving us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your ratings help us grow and inspire even more people. This podcast is brought to you by Wednesday Women, an organization dedicated to increasing the visibility of women executive leaders. Learn more at wednesdaywomen.org. Thank you to our executive producers, Melissa Moody and Leslie Greenwood. Again, I'm your host, Ashley Lobbs, hoping you'll keep the ripple going. Until next time.